Welcome to History Clips.
Last episode, we ended with the beginning escalation of U.S. involvement in the country of Vietnam.
And Vietnam was very similar to Korea. You had North Vietnam supported by the Chinese and the USSR, and then you had South Vietnam supported by the United States.
And the North Vietnamese government also supported a guerrilla group in South Vietnam called the Viet Cong. They're usually doing things like assassinations, hit and run attacks, just trying to cause havoc and destabilize the South Vietnamese government. With the backing of positive public support for involvement in Vietnam, the U.S. government begins to send soldiers and conduct aerial bombing missions over North Vietnamese territory. This is all in an effort to help keep the South Vietnamese government propped up. To strike back, the communist forces will launch something called the Tet Offensive in January of 1968. And at first, while it looks like they're winning, it's actually a source of a major victory for the United States. They defeat the communists and chase them all the way back to the North Vietnamese border.
However, the media portrays this as a major loss. They have video evidence of Vietnamese soldiers fighting the Americans in the U.S. Embassy's grounds. And they look at this, and the public looks at this as, oh my gosh, we're losing, even though it's a major victory. And a lot of young people, especially college students and high school students, start protesting the war, and it changes that whole balance of, do we support the war or not?
All you need is love. Love is all you need.
This isn't a vase, you stupid hippie.
Dude, the power of love will conquer all.
Love never stopped a bullet, though. Late into the Vietnam War, and then after the Vietnam War ends, the space race has created all this new technology in the United States, especially in the ideas of spying. They create spy satellites, and they also have spy planes such as the U-2 and later the SR-71 Blackbird. These make it that they can pretty much see anywhere in the world at any time that they want.
And the Russian military, because of this, is going to get very paranoid. They don't have any way to combat against this, and they realize every time we step outside, potentially we could be seen by one of these spy satellites or planes, and the Americans could know our every move and every one of our technological advances.
Good afternoon, sir. We're selling chocolate bars.
Why is Chubby here staring at me?
Focusing.
Back up, Jack.
Nice place you got here.
During Vietnam and after Vietnam, the USSR and the United States were actually working out something known as the Strategic Arms Limitations Talks and or Treaties, also known as SALT I and later SALT II. This actually occurs through 4 presidential administrations, and they were Johnson, Nixon, Ford, and Carter.
And the SALT treaties combined, what they really say is this: you are now limited in the number of nuclear weapons you can have. You are limited in nuclear delivery systems, such as missiles capable of orbiting the Earth. You're limited in the number of bombers you can have capable of carrying these big, heavy nuclear payloads. And, strangely enough, you're limited in the number of anti-nuclear defense systems you can have set up to protect your country from a nuclear attack.
Hey, Flanders, is everything okay?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thought I'd just get rid of some of the clutter. See anything you like?
Oh, I get it. It's not good enough for you, but it's good enough for me. Well, I wouldn't be caught dead buying this. Hello.
Oh, I got your eye on the gas grill, huh? She's a butane beaut.
I'll give you $20 for it.
20? Homer, I paid $300 for this just last year.
You were swindled, my friend. $20, take it or leave it.
Oh, Homer, be reasonable.
Sorry, no cash for Nettie. Homer, keep on money. Bye-bye, Nettie. Bye-bye.
All right, Homer.
$20?
$20.
No, I don't want it.
What?
I changed my mind. It was a passing fancy. Although, perhaps if you threw in a few lawn chairs, maybe that tool bench, it might rekindle my...
After President Carter, a new president is elected by the name of Ronald Reagan. And his international plan is to have peace through strength. And what he decides to do is we're going to start increasing our military spending to build new and better weapons. We're not even going to use them. We have more resources and we have more money than the Soviet Union's communist system, and we're just going to outspend them.
The Soviet Union tries to catch up, and they increase their military by size, but their technology doesn't keep up with us. We have the better technology. And because of this, even the Soviet Union's allies start getting worried, like, oh, I don't think they can protect us from the U.S. because look at the technology they have versus what our allies, the Russians, have.
That's what's amazing about Meridote, is that it's really a blend of the best parts of every martial art in the world. That's why we like to say, best of all, worst of none. It's up in your face in the street, sticks his finger out, puts it in your chest. Here's what you do. You're going to secure the wrist, then you're going to break the finger. Break the wrist, break the elbow, break the jaw, smash the groin, break the nose, break the knee, break the ribs, re-stomp the groin, knee drop the pelvis, kick the head, stomp the head, stomp the back of the neck, re-stomp the groin, and exit out. Then if you have anything in your pockets, you can use to hit him, stab him, whatever. Yes?
Is that really necessary?
Well, no, if you don't have anything in your pockets, you just drive over him when
No,
you
no, no, no. The whole thing seems a little excessive. The guy gets in your face, and so you basically disable him for life?
Hopefully. But I tell you what, while he's in the hospital, you're at home with your family.
Until you're on trial for attempted murder.
Better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6.
What if he was asking for directions?
And he should have asked from across the street.
Now, the Reagan administration comes up with a new way to defend the country against missiles from Russia, and that is a system of satellites that would have used high-tech lasers to shoot down the oncoming missiles before they could even hit the country.
And this becomes the known as Star Wars, named after the famous movies that were out during that time.
It's not a joke, man. Now, this strategy of peace through strength was not without challengers. And in the 1980s, there threatens to be another communist Cuban revolution like occurrence happen on the island of Grenada in the Caribbean. To defend that island, President Reagan is going to have combined naval, air, and land forces attack the island.
The message to rivals after the victory at Grenada is, you know, we're not hurt from Vietnam. It doesn't really matter. And our peace through strength has made our military that much better.
The Empire will strike back.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Hey. I got to know.
Also, during this time when Reagan was in power as president, the Soviet Union's going through major problems in the 1980s. They're trying to increase their military, but there's other problems going on. There's a lack of food, there's a lack of clothing. The leaders of the Soviet Union are getting really old, a lot of them are dying off, and the young people have a real distaste for communism. They see how the United States is living such a lavish life, and these other countries that are like that, but then they're the ones struggling.
And what's going to happen is a man by the name of Boris Yeltsin is going to come on the scene. He wants Soviet Russia to turn more into a democratic republic where the people are allowed to vote for their leaders and have a system of laws that guarantee certain freedoms. And this is going to finally put the final nail in the coffin that is the Soviet Union.
And by 1991, the Soviet Union ends and the Russian Federation begins.
And instead of a huge battle that ends all this, instead the Soviet Union just kind of collapses in on itself, and that's the end of the Cold War.
Soviet Union collapsed without a shot being fired. Cold War's over.
The Politburo one day said,
We give up! Yeah, that's kind of how it went.
My gosh! Commies are brilliant. You have to hand it to them. No, we didn't drop any bombs. Oh, yeah. Our evil empire has collapsed for us.
In the twilight of the Cold War, there'll be one more major treaty that will end up being signed, and that is the START I treaties. They're going to be signed under Bush Sr., but they actually received their start under Reagan's administration in the 80s.
And it's like SALT. They limit the missiles, the vehicles, and everything else that has to deal with nuclear arms. And the debates were very heated because the Russians knew that the American technology had surpassed the Russian technology. And it created this situation where they were really worried about what the United States was coming to.